history goes back to when Whirlpool really was at a crossroads. And that was when you walked into a retail floor, you essentially saw nothing but a line of white boxes.
Because there was such a sea of sameness out there.
And there was no differentiation between any brand on the floor. How do you change it? What do we have to do?
Modern product development is all about the value of multidisciplinary teams.
So we had a cross-functional team of marketing, engineering, user experience, and design.
And each team member was a leader within that discipline.
This was more like rugby. I mean, we were all moving down the field together.
Because we had a very aggressive 2-year time frame to get this done. In this case, we had project team members in Italy, Germany, in Ohio, and in Michigan.
To coordinate these two different products made halfway around the world from each other, but they had to match, they had to sit next to each other in a consumer's home.
I had no idea how we were going to pull this off.
We knew how to do it technically, because we had the European background, how to develop front-load washers.
We couldn't have done it without really having a firm consumer research base to start from.
And really understand, have the consumer be the driver. And that's really where our whole approach to design started.
We did some in-house ethnographic research. We actually went into people's homes.
Listen to them, observe how they are going to walk through their laundry process.
We put every statement that was made, every observation that was made on a separate card, and we literally spent almost 2 weeks then taking these, I'll bet there were 6,000 quotes, 6,000 observations.
So what did we hear? What were the ahas that each of us took away? And it was fascinating because a designer might have picked up on one thing, an engineer would have picked up on something else, a marketer would have picked up on something else.
And so we were coming third to market, and we knew that if we were to be successful, we had to have something distinctive.
30% of consumers flat said they would never buy this product.
You don't want 100% of the people liking it because it means you haven't pushed the envelope far enough, because we're trying to kind of project into the future what consumers are going to want.
The 70% of the consumers that said they liked the product, they love the product. Consumers typically put washers and dryers in basements or in garages.
They were looking for something different.
So it was no longer sufficient just to have this ugly machine sitting on the floor. They wanted to have something that they were proud of, that they didn't mind looking at all the time.
They could also show to their friends. And they were, in those days, also willing to pay for it.
At the time, the average washer cost $399, and these people were spending over $1,000. How can that be?
They want things of beauty, things that are aesthetically pleasing, things that are easy for them to interface with.
One of the things we noticed with this one particular consumer was she had actually had her husband stack pallets underneath the washer and dryer to raise them up.
We made some notes and we sketched immediately following that, and that's when what is called the pedestal was born.
And we actually ended up creating an entire business around pedestals.
And in fact, it did end up changing the industry.
We were trying to tease out whether or not the window was important.
So what we discovered was that people were looking through the windows to learn how the product worked. And what we realized was if we were going to do it on the washer side, there was real benefit to doing it on the dryer side as well. It also turned out to be a source of entertainment for children, pets, neighbors.
3 things had to be for sure. It had to have breakthrough styling, breakthrough ease of use, and breakthrough performance. If we nailed all 3 of those, we knew we were going to have a winner.
We would use pencils and paper and markers and that kind of thing, and it would actually allow us to generate a lot of ideas. We would go pretty quickly into the computer world and develop CAD models so that we could get some quick renderings.
Till we got to very high fidelity type mock-ups, working prototypes, and then we did field tests where we actually put units into consumers' homes.
We had a test cell of about 1,000 appliances.
We had one of these test units in my home, one of about 6 units in the world, right? It was very, very early. And I remember telling my kids, hey, this is top secret, super secret stuff. You can't show your friends, keep them out of the laundry room. I come home from work and Rob's got 3 of his little buddies there. And I said, Rob, what are you doing? You know you're not supposed to have anybody in here. And they're like, Mr. Conrad, this is really cool. This looks like a spaceship. This is really a neat washer. And I just got chills and I thought, wow, when you get 10-year-old kids talking about a washer and how cool it looks, you know you're onto something.
And when you get it right, boy, you know it. You get the wow. And there's some designs that we're starting to bring to the marketplace where that's the reaction. It takes your breath away.
Pre-Duet, less than 2% of consumers were purchasing a washer and a dryer at the same time. Let's link them so strongly visually that a consumer would really be hard-pressed to put this nice new racy Duet next to their 5-year-old dryer. Over 98% of our washer dryer sales are in pairs. So we've gone from 2% to 98%.
It's been more than an evolution, it's been a revolution.
The Duet product was first introduced in North America under two brands, the Whirlpool brand and the Kenmore brand, and then it was introduced in Europe.
Sales performance was amazing.
We went from having 0 market share to within 6 months, almost 80% of the market share.
The highest priced washing machine we sold was roughly $899. When we launched Duet, we launched it at $14.99 and sold every one we could make.
We had to increase our capacity several times in our European factory.
So they'd buy a washer, they'd buy a dryer, and all of a sudden they'd buy 2 pedestals. The customer left the store with $2,000 of purchase. Think about that, the power of that.
That whole category today represents around 37% of the washer industry.
2004, roughly, we started seeing some of the first competitors come in from Korea. And by 2008, they were approximately the same size as us in terms of market share. Product development is not an event, it's a process.
And we did sit on our success.
We essentially stopped working on it for 2 or 3 years, and by the time then we started to see the share go away, they already had a foothold.
We didn't really recognize how powerful this product was in our portfolio until we were into a more mature state of the product.
We're still very competitive and we still have a great product, but so do they.
Product development should be a funnel, not a tube, right? You want a lot of ideas that are eventually going to come down.
Draw on the experience of the teams.
We stayed in contact with the user, or were thinking about the user throughout the process, and we made decisions based on that.
Go see for yourself. Understand for yourself what's important. Don't let somebody do the research and then tell you second and third hand what they thought they heard. It doesn't work.
Don't be afraid to be polarizing in your design.
You've got to look towards the fringes because they're where the benefits would be.
Because with great design, it doesn't come for free. There is always a certain amount of courage and risk involved in bringing anything new to the marketplace.
It's a fallacy to think that, well, just because it's a design, people won't willing to pay for it. Oh yeah, they will. And they'll pay significantly over the average, if you will. So it makes good business sense.
Design needs to be viewed as part of the strategic architecture of the corporation.
Some people separate design from innovation. I think that's completely false, completely wrong. Design is innovation.
I think our senior levels have really identified, understood that rational is no longer enough.
And so design is the strategic component to deliver that emotional appeal. It is what makes the statement.
What we've essentially done is to create a set of measures and metrics. If a product scores X, we can just about predict how it's going to do in the marketplace.
That we're beginning now to think about designs that we want to have 10 years from now.
So I think it's created a benchmark process for us in Whirlpool, and then that enables us to continue to develop up more unusual platforms, platforms that really have greater consumer benefits than if we just maintain the existing process that we had prior to the Duet.
To be honest, we actually, I think, changed this appliance industry in doing what we did.